What is going on, people? Sean here, back for another video. All right, this one took a lot of thought and a lot of soul searching, but what it comes down to is I think I'm at the end of my solo career. Pretty much at the end of my cover music career, although it could change if I get into some kind of jam band type situation. But as far as solo goes, I'm coming to the end of it. If we have the opportunity to come back here to Florida over the season coming up for 5 months, I'm going to do that. But it's really taken me a long time to come to this decision. Basically, what it comes down to is, to me, playing solo is just getting monotonous. And not only that, playing covers has always been monotonous to me. It's always been boring. I really have been racking my brain to try to figure out and remember the last time I actually had fun on a gig, like pure joy, the reason we got into playing music, you know. And I have no memory of the last time I was on a gig. I know that I stopped doing this full time. I did some, in 2009, I did some uh, boat dates, and I hated every second of the ships I did in Europe. And I came back the beginning, just after Christmas, 2010, so holidays of 2009. And I moved to Los Angeles not long after that to go to film school. I didn't do another cover gig again until I did a 30-day contract on a ship out of Amsterdam in June 2013. Hated every second of it as usual. Never missed playing covers. Never missed playing acoustic in front of people. I was really burnt. Years burnt. I'd done some touring as an independent artist and put out albums and tried to go that route in the early 2000s, late 90s. I was trying to get out of playing covers pretty much from the get-go, because what differentiates me from your typical musician is I never considered myself a musician. I was never in it to play covers. They were just a means to an end. I was a songwriter. I've always been a songwriter since I was 7 years old. And what drove me to become a skilled musician and write songs and play instruments and kept me in the studio and practicing and stuff was creating my own art, my own songs. And it was never about playing covers. I've never put put very little work ever in my life into playing covers. You know, they've come very easy to me to learn. I've always had great ears, and I learn them, and then I kind of just twist them and turn them into my own thing. And been lucky enough to be able to sing about 90% of the material I've always wanted to sing in the correct keys. Of course, getting a little older. I mean, a little lower as I get older, lowering some keys down to make it easier. But the more skilled you are, the easier it is for you to learn how to use key changes effectively. Like everyone does in the studio. But it's always been just about trying to make money and still having time, maximizing the time to still work on my own material. And fast forward to when I lived in Nashville almost 5 years, I never missed playing covers at all. I missed making money at music, and that's why we moved back to Florida and I went back to work. And we had various different properties and various myriad of different bands and things going on here to try to make it. But ultimately, it was always the bread and butter of solo acoustic that kept my children fed and kept my bills paid. And I'm grateful to be able to do it. But it's never really brought me joy. It's never brought, as far as playing cover music, it's never, I have moments and flashes of good times and joy, but it gets old and monotonous after a while, and it doesn't bring me any joy at all anymore. And the reason why this matters in a creative endeavor is because if you get burnt out on something creative, it screws up all the rest of your creative life. If you're burnt out on playing cover music or solo or whatever, you're not going to want to touch your instrument and do any other creative endeavors. You're not going to want to write songs and stuff. And for me, Uh, I want I want to enjoy it again, So, and I enjoy being outside. I enjoy working with my hands. I enjoy other things besides music. And even though it's still easy money for me to make, we also want to leave Florida, and it's not easy to do what you can do down here in other places, especially the type of rural uh, lifestyle that I want to lead and the type of places that I want to be. There probably isn't these kind of opportunities there, which is fine. So I really think that in the next year or so, we're going to be making massive changes. And it just seems to me like I'm coming to the end of my solo cover music career. Um, and I'm going to need to take a break totally to get the inspiration back, And they talk about, intrinsic and extrinsic reasons to do things creatively. I always had intrinsic drive to create and to be good at what I do and stuff. And it was never about trying to impress anybody from the outside. And when I moved to Nashville, all of a sudden I had all these extrinsic pressures on me as a writer. And I wrote hundreds of songs that were crafted rather than inspired. I don't really even know those. I don't play that material. I don't know it. I've forgotten lots of them. They're written down. Many of them are demoed. There's many that were never even demoed, and all there is chord charts and lyrics. I have no memory of the song, and that's fine. Doesn't matter. It's in the ether. It was created. Energy never goes away. It just changes. The law of thermodynamics. So, you know, it's never really been a big thing to me to be a cover musician. I've just been lucky enough to have had the skill to be able to do it, and I do it. And if gigs fall into my lap here and there, I'll probably do them. But I don't get joy out of them. And like I said, I think it's like I don't touch my guitar. I haven't touched my electric guitar in over 2 years at all. It was cool working on that Journey material, and for a while, and for the first 20, 30 gigs we did, it was cool. And after a while, it got stale. We were playing the click tracks and things like that. And, once I learned the tunes and I had to play the same fucking licks every night, that got old. So I quit that. It was my own band. I dissolved it. So, you know, it's not something you forget how to do. I could always come back to do it. And like I said, if I need the money, it's definitely better than what I'm currently doing right now, which is delivering and trying to get deliveries for Uber Eats and Grubhub. If I have to do it, I'll do it, but it's not something that I'm going to look for. I'm going to try to do some other things. And I'm in midlife. I'm over 50 years old, so there's other things I want to do with the rest of my life while I'm still healthy. So I just think if you can't, yeah, everybody hates their job or whatever, but it's not the same thing for a creative endeavor. If you're out there in front of an audience trying to make an audience happy, now I don't hate it. Don't get me wrong. I'm grateful to be able to do it. I would hate working at, Burger King or something like that. But I tell you what, I've been dreading going to every single gig since the beginning of May when it got into the 90s here, and it has never relented. Humidity goes into overdrive. It's a terrible, terrible thing to be out there in that heat at my age, especially, and trying to survive it. I can't see how anybody has a good time sitting out there sweating. And I never have a good time. I'm just out there. I make the best of it. Forget about it. Try to lose myself in the song, but it's not fun at all. And to be not looking forward to every gig for months on end now, over 3 months. That's terrible. It's terrible. So, I don't blame. I've been watching this other guy move to Nashville, Bad Brad. If you watch this video, Brad, what's up, brother? We know a few musicians in common from Nashville. He just relocated with his young family down here to Florida, and he's not so hip to be getting out there and playing covers in bars and stuff like that. And I don't blame him. He's got a few years on me too, so you know I got to reinvent myself musically. The most joyous times I ever had in my life were sitting alone late at night, writing material and just thanking God with tears streaming down my face that He helped, that I could funnel this and coming up with this, stuff. And that's what it's always been about for me. And I like making people happy and I like playing for them. But most people, most of the time, these tiki bars, stuff on the beach, you're just background music and you're being ignored. And after a while, that will callous over you. You know, you get emotionally calloused. And you can't be like that as an artist, as a performer. You just can't be. And I recognize and realize through my own life experiences and interactions with other musicians out there that I'm not the typical guy who goes out there and plays covers in a bar. I've talked to musicians, the vast majority of them, and tried to tell them that I'm not happy doing this. And they just look at me like, what? Like it comes so easy to you. You're able to make all this money doing it and blah, blah, blah. And they don't understand. But other artists on here who fell into it like I did will understand, songwriters like that. And like I said, conversations I've had with other artists out there that are famous today, they never went that route. And it was good that they didn't because it will burn you out. Right now, I'm extremely, extremely burned out. And last summer, I took 6 months off from playing. It wasn't long enough. Like I said, I barely touched my guitar. I remember in an interview years ago that I read, Eddie Van Halen was talking about how he went through several year-long stretches where he didn't touch his guitar. This is Eddie Van Halen, one of the greatest, most influential guitar players of all time. He didn't touch his guitar several times for 1 year. Okay, you don't lose your chops. You get the mechanics back in a couple hundred hours of playing. You go live life and you absorb influences again, and then you can filter that through you and then through the ether, and then it comes out your hands or your voice or whatever your instrument is. And I feel that like I need to do that. I need to, build things, build chicken coops or, handyman services or, work on my bus. I built my bus. That was great. Maybe I'll build a cabin next. We're looking for land somewhere out west. So, but I really think that other than maybe here and there and not until I actually want to do it again, I need and want to be able to pick my beautiful Taylor guitar up again and start strumming and start coming up with my own original songs that always immediately just flow out of me. Okay? That's what I miss. That's what I want to do. And I think being out there and being uninspired, just opening my mouth and having this stuff come out of me, I think it's hurting me emotionally. I think it's hurting me creatively. And in the end, I don't think that is what God has meant for any of us to do. He put this desire and talent into me for me to be able to filter what comes out of the ether and what comes down. And believe me, it's a God-given talent. And then you develop the skill to the point where for you to be able to bring out that, filter it out and, at a certain way that you want to hear it. You're always trying to play what you hear in your head. And that's the only reason I've ever learned how to play keys and drums and bass and sing and play guitar. It's all because it's what I hear and always have heard in my head. It's still in there. I know it's in there, but it's locked up. It's calloused over. It's in the back. And I'm just out there and I just go, and I shift into a certain gear and I just start playing, Zach Brown and fucking Beatles and stuff. And I'm over it. I was over it 20 years ago. Over it 20 years ago. I've taken some time off here and there. I took off time, but I've been at this now another 10 years since we moved. Almost this fall, this November will be 10 years since we moved back to Florida from Alaska. I'm from Nashville, and I can't do it. My wife understands. I just need a break. I can't do this solo thing anymore. Like I said, if I continue doing it, I'll end up just exploding and throwing all my gear out and never playing again. And that's not what I want. I've never wanted that. So I don't know. I'm just ranting today, but I don't know. Do you guys feel this way? Does anybody understand what I'm talking about? Any of you other artists and writers out there, do you understand? Maybe it'll be different if I can get into a band where I'm playing with some other musicians, but I don't want to play the same old shit. I won't do it. I'm not playing the same old covers. It would have to be a band that we're in there playing original material or jam stuff or reworking different things, new things. I need to be stretched as a player and as a singer and stuff. And, you know, I can't continue doing this because it's stifling me creatively, and that's about the size of it. That's where I'm at. That's where I'm at. So there'll be some gig opportunities available for some of you if you can hang down here in South Florida if you want. But I personally am getting very rural, if you know what I mean, very rural, away from a lot of people. But anyway, yeah. Thanks for listening and putting up with my rants and stuff like that. And I really do wish everybody the best. Anybody who wants to try to do this, you know, if you're not a shitbag and you are actually good, you watch my live videos, which are just live, unscripted. Some days I'm good. Some days I don't really have a great voice. I never warm up again, because I just don't take it fucking seriously because I'm not into it. But if you could get on stage and hang with me and play along with me and keep up and add to what I'm doing and harmonize over what I'm doing and watch me play and then fit in like I do with other musicians. If you can do that, you're at my level, then I respect you. Good luck. Anybody else that isn't at that level, keep working. Keep working if you want to work on it. If you don't want to work on it and get to that level, like I said in other videos, back in the day, you had to be good. You had to prove you had to play in front of agents, and it wasn't a bullshit video that could be edited. And then only then would they take you on, and then they would book you on the circuit. So, we had to be good. So, I think people will tune you out. You could still get hired because the vast majority of these idiots who hire and fire musicians have zero ears. They have no ears. But for your own self-edification, I would implore you to try to become as good as you can. Because there's a lot of people. I've had a lot of people over the years, friends and fans. They actually can tell. You can tell. The masses can't tell. That's why Taylor Swift is so big. And that's why some of these nameless, faceless, hilarious, bro country guys are so big. Because the masses can't tell. But don't play for the masses. Don't try to be like the masses. Try to be like the greats. That's the only way that we can keep great art flourishing. Because if you try to imitate the greats, or at least get in the same room or realm of the greats, if you want to be good enough to where some of the greats out there will just, if they looked at you, they give you the thumbs up and the nod. That's how we keep this thing going. That's how we keep this music going at a level. We keep progressing. And that also helps humanity. That helps humanity move along and progress. So, rant over. Like and subscribe, and please, I would love to hear your thoughts on the subject too. I really would. All right, talk to you soon.